The crystalline spires of Veltara Prime gleamed under the light of three suns as Princess Jasmine of the Veltaran Empire stepped onto the diplomatic platform. Her iridescent scales shimmered with hues of violet and gold, marking her as royalty among her kind. Behind her, maintaining a respectful distance, walked Harry, a human of all things. Jasmine couldn't help but feel insulted. When the Galactic Council had insisted on assigning her a bodyguard for the Peace Summit, she had expected a Kryn warrior with their 4 arms and impenetrable exoskeleton, or perhaps a Thornian mercenary known for their telepathic combat abilities. Instead, they'd sent her this human, a species barely 2 centuries into space travel, with no natural armor, no enhanced senses, and no telepathic capabilities whatsoever. Harry stood at just under 2 meters tall, dressed in a simple black suit that looked absurdly formal and completely impractical for protection. His brown hair was neatly combed, his expression calm and unremarkable. He carried no visible weapons, wore no armor, and seemed more suited to serving refreshments than defending a princess. "I still don't understand why the council thought you were necessary," Jasmine said, her translator converting her melodic Veltaran into standard galactic common. "I have my royal guard." "Ma'am," Harry replied simply, his voice steady and professional. His eyes, however, never stopped moving, scanning the crowds, the buildings, the shadows. The summit hall was packed with delegates from 47 species. Jasmine had given her speech flawlessly, advocating for the mining rights treaty that would benefit the lesser-developed systems. As she descended from the podium, she noticed Harry had positioned himself differently. He was no longer behind her but slightly to her right, his body angled in a way that seemed awkward. "Could you at least try to look professional?" she hissed. Harry didn't respond. His eyes had locked onto something in the crowd. Then everything happened at once. The first assassin emerged from the crowd with a plasma blade extended, a Kryn warrior moving with frightening speed. Jasmine's breath caught. She hadn't even sensed the killing intent, but Harry had already moved. The human's hand shot out not to block the blade, but to redirect it. He used the Kryn's own momentum against him, sending the 4-armed assassin crashing into a pillar with a force that cracked the stone. One down. A Thornian assassin materialized from stealth cloak, poison darts already flying toward Jasmine's exposed neck. Harry's other hand swept up impossibly fast and caught all 3 darts between his fingers. He flicked them back with precision. The Thornian collapsed, paralyzed by their own venom. 2 down. Jasmine stumbled backward, her scaled tail thrashing in shock. The royal guards finally realized what was happening and began to mobilize, but they were too slow, too unprepared. 3 more assassins descended from the ceiling, Veltarans, her own species, traitors willing to kill their princess for political gain. They moved with the fluid grace of her kind, plasma whips crackling with lethal energy. Harry grabbed Jasmine and pulled her behind a pillar just as the whip struck where she'd been standing, leaving molten scars in the marble floor. He stepped forward, and Jasmine watched in disbelief as the human ducked, weaved, and rolled through attacks that would have bisected any normal being. He wasn't faster than the assassins. He was smarter. He read their movements, anticipated their strikes, and turned their coordinated attack into chaos. A well-placed strike to a nerve cluster dropped one Veltaran. A thrown ceremonial chalice from a nearby table knocked another's weapon aside long enough for Harry to close the distance and deliver a precise blow that rendered the assassin unconscious. The third tried to flee but found Harry's arm locked around their throat in a sleeper hold. 5 down. An explosion rocked the hall. 4 Zexnari commandos burst through the walls, their crystalline bodies nearly impervious to conventional weapons. They wielded graviton rifles that could crush bones with directed gravitational force. Harry assessed the situation in a heartbeat. He grabbed a fallen plasma whip, ignited it, and did something Jasmine had never seen in her 40 years of combat training. He used the unstable plasma field to disrupt the graviton beams, creating a feedback loop that overloaded the rifles. The weapons exploded in the commandos' hands, their crystalline structures shattering from the inside out. 9 down. The final 3 assassins attacked simultaneously from different vectors: a Dravian sharpshooter on a distant balcony, a Morphean infiltrator emerging from the ventilation shaft, and a cybernetically enhanced Taraxian charging straight through the panicking crowd. The Dravian sniper shot should have been impossible to dodge. Harry somehow sensed it coming and twisted, the hypervelocity round passing so close to his head that it singed his hair. He grabbed a decorative shield from the wall and hurled it with perfect accuracy, striking the distant sniper and knocking them from their perch. 10 down. The Morphians' shape-shifting ability made them nearly impossible to target, their form flowing like liquid metal, but Harry didn't try to hit them. Instead, he activated the fire suppression system, filling the area with chemical foam. The Morphians' form solidified involuntarily, their weakness to chemical compounds exposing them. A swift kick rendered them unconscious. 11 down. The Tyraxian was a mountain of muscle and machinery, augmented with combat implants worth more than a small starship. They swung a massive fist at Harry's head with enough force to pulverize concrete. Harry didn't dodge. He stepped inside the blow, too close for the Tyraxian's massive arms to generate full force. His fingers found pressure points in the cyborg's neck, organic weak points that even the best augmentation couldn't fully protect. The Tyraxian's eyes rolled back and the giant collapsed like a felled tree. 12 down. The entire engagement had lasted 47 seconds. Jasmine stood frozen, her violet eyes wide with shock. Around them, chaos reigned as security forces finally arrived and began securing the area. Harry calmly straightened his tie, which had somehow remained knotted throughout the entire ordeal, though his jacket now bore scorch marks and tears. "Status report," he said into his comm device, as if he'd just completed routine paperwork rather than single-handedly defeated a dozen elite assassins. "You..." Jasmine's voice trembled. "How did you..." Harry finally looked directly at her, and for the first time, she saw something beyond the professional mask. A glimpse of the predator that her species had been for millions of years, but that humans had somehow perfected in a fraction of that time. "Princess, humans don't have natural armor, enhanced senses, or telepathic abilities," Harry said calmly. "What we have is pattern recognition developed over millions of years of being both predator and prey. We have endurance that can outlast almost any species. We have adaptability that lets us use anything as a weapon or tool. And we have something most species lost when they became advanced. We remember what it's like to fight for survival every single day." He gestured to the unconscious assassins being taken into custody. "Your species evolved on a peaceful world with few natural predators. You became civilized and graceful. Humans evolved on a death world where everything wanted to kill us. The weather, the animals, the plants, even microscopic organisms. We didn't become civilized because we were peaceful. We became civilized despite being very, very good at violence." Jasmine's scales rippled with a new emotion. Respect, tinged with something that might have been fear. "The council knew," she whispered. "They knew there would be an assassination attempt." "Yes, ma'am." Harry's expression softened slightly. "That's why they sent a human. We're very good at keeping people alive, even when everyone else wants them dead. It's kind of our specialty." As medical teams attended to the wounded and security forces escorted Jasmine to a secure location, she walked beside Harry with newfound appreciation. She had thought him useless, a political statement from the council about the inclusion of primitive species in galactic affairs. She had been catastrophically wrong. Humans, she now understood, weren't impressive because of what nature had given them. They were impressive because of what they'd made of themselves despite nature's neglect. They were the species that had clawed their way from the bottom of the food chain to the stars, and they had never forgotten the lessons learned along the way. Princess Jasmine made a mental note to recommend Harry for the highest honor the Veltaran Empire could bestow upon a non-citizen. And perhaps more importantly, she made a note to never, ever underestimate a human again. After all, there was a reason the Galactic Council had started recruiting humans for protection details across the galaxy. When it came to keeping someone alive against impossible odds, humanity didn't just rise to the challenge, they excelled at it. The end.